The arrival of the Royal Navy frigate HMS Somerset in Akureyri, Iceland, is a small port call with a large strategic subtext. The crew described a warm welcome against the backdrop of crisp northern air, but the symbolism is the point, a frontline escort entering the high north not just as a visitor, but as a markedly more capable combatant than before. The ship's routine presence in the North Atlantic is a familiar sight. What is new is the addition of a modern strike option that substantially expands what a mid-1990s GIUK-class frigate can credibly threaten. In an era when deterrence is communicated as much by the capabilities on deck as by the flag at the mast, the message is carefully calibrated and unmistakable. Somerset was built on the River Clyde and commissioned in 1996, part of the Type 23 series designed primarily to find and prosecute submarines. That core strength remains unchanged. Quiet propulsion, towed arrays, and crew proficiency keep the frigate relevant in the undersea fight. Yet the ship can now do considerably more than chase contacts and defend itself. Alongside the Sea Ceptor air defense system, the integration of the Naval Strike Missile adds a different kind of reach, one measured not only in miles but in political signaling. A platform optimized to deny hostile submarines freedom of maneuver has gained the ability to credibly hold surface ships and selected land targets at risk far beyond the horizon. The Naval Strike Missile's effective range of over 100 miles matters in this geography. The North Atlantic and Arctic approaches are defined by distance, weather, and the tyranny of logistics. A weapon that closes those distances from the sea complicates adversaries' planning while better protecting friendly shipping. Precision engagement at that scale reshapes the calculus for a task group commander, who can now distribute risk differently across an escort screen and create dilemmas for any ship seeking to interfere with maritime traffic or test Allied resolve. For a frigate class once judged primarily on its acoustic prowess, this is an evolution into a more elastic combat role. This upgrade is not theoretical. Earlier in the year, HMS Somerset fired the new missile during Exercise Aegir 25 at Norway's Andøya range, working in company with Norwegian and Polish units. London cast the event as proof of Allied integration and a boost to combat credibility. Defense Minister Luke Pollard characterized the capability as providing an edge against potential adversaries, and the ship's commanding officer, Commander Matt Millyard, credited the crew's professionalism in bringing a complex weapon into service under operational conditions. The point is not just that the missile works, it is that it works within a coalition context, with shared procedures, rehearsed communications, and practical interoperability that carries into real-world patrols. Akureyri is a fitting venue for the ship's stopover. The town, frequently described as the capital of North Iceland, sits at the head of Eyjafjörður and has long functioned as a maritime hub, including service during the Second World War in support of Allied movements. Its infrastructure, sheltered waters, and location make it a practical waypoint for NATO vessels that shuttle between the GIUK gap and the broader Arctic approaches. Port visits here are more than goodwill calls, they are logistics practice, environmental acclimatization, and quiet assurance that Allied navies can operate where they must, when they must, with the support of local partners who understand the region's rhythms. For Somerset specifically, the visit contributes to a broader North Atlantic operating pattern that blends routine presence with capability maturation. Integrating a new missile at sea demands more than bolt-on hardware. It involves doctrinal adjustments, revised tactics, new safety cases, and a cycle of training that runs from the Combat Information Center to the bridge and back again. It also requires rethinking how the ship collaborates with allies, who carries which weapons, who covers which sectors, how data is fused and disseminated, and how strike options are weighed against rules of engagement and political risk. Each port call becomes a small opportunity to assess readiness, tighten procedures, and keep crews sharp. There is also a deterrent logic at work. Competitors test boundaries not only with submarines but with surface patrols, intelligence gathering, and gray zone probes that seek to stress Allied cohesion. A frigate equipped for anti-submarine warfare and simultaneously armed with a credible over-the-horizon strike weapon compresses the escalation ladder. It tells any observer that interference with sea lines of communication might invite a response delivered quickly, accurately, and from a platform designed to survive long enough to take the shot. The addition of Sea Ceptor for air defense and the Naval Strike Missile for offensive action turns Somerset from a guardian of a formation's flanks into a ship that creates problems for an opponent across multiple domains. Iceland's role is crucial in this equation. The island's position on the North Atlantic map is a constant, but the operational relevance ebbs and flows with technology and threat perception. Today, it is Resurgent. Hosting Allied vessels, offering repair and resupply options, and providing a staging point for operations into colder and harsher waters all contribute to collective resilience. For a Royal Navy that must manage finite hull numbers and growing tasking, the ability to touch a reliable northern port reduces logistical friction and increases time on station where it matters. That Somerset received an enthusiastic reception is more than hospitality. It is a sign of political alignment expressed through practical maritime cooperation. The broader lesson is about how navies harvest capability from existing hulls. Rather than waiting on the long arcs of new ship classes to enter service, incremental but potent upgrades can transform operational profiles with relatively modest disruption. A proven frigate becomes a multi-mission asset capable of escort, deterrence patrols, and limited sea control tasks, while retaining its original specialization. That approach rewards discipline, trials that actually validate performance, crews that embrace new checklists without losing sight of core skills, and commanders who can weigh the expanded toolset without overextending a ship outside its design margins. Seen from this angle, Somerset's call at Akureyri is both ordinary and consequential. It is one frigate making a scheduled visit on a long patrol line, and it is a visible signal that the Royal Navy is increasing the lethality and flexibility of the ships it already has in service. The crew's report of a warm welcome captures the human side of a defense story that often hides behind acronyms and range figures. But the strategic side is always present, a capable escort, operating comfortably in northern waters, demonstrating a new strike reach after a successful Allied test, and reminding anyone watching that the North Atlantic is still heavily trafficked by warships that know what they are doing. As the ship sails on, the practical outcomes may be as simple as refreshed stores, reinforced ties with local authorities, and another layer of experience for a crew that has recently integrated a demanding capability. The intangible outcomes, deterrence signaling, Allied reassurance, and the normalization of advanced weapons in routine patrols, are harder to measure yet no less important. In a maritime environment increasingly defined by contested spaces and the need to respond quickly to emerging situations, a stop in Iceland by a frigate with sharper teeth is not just a photo opportunity. It is a quiet rehearsal for the missions that matter in the waters that still connect allies across the North Atlantic.